I've worked with a lot of moms, single moms, moms who are married, moms who are multiple divorces, moms who are struggling, moms who are thriving. But there's some patterns that I've seen that hopefully by what I share today, we can help and help you guys get into a state where you can have it all and let go of some of those old things, get out of the overwhelm, get out of the frustration, and find that peace, that power, that passion that you're looking for.
Are you lacking in the self-care department? Or maybe you just want to step up your game? Well, then you need to get a hold of the weekly self-care planning guide, because this will help you to plan out and prioritize self-care, because self-care is not a luxury, it is a necessity. You can get yours by going to holisticmamaspeaks.com/self-care. That's holisticmamaspeaks.com/self-care. Oh, and did I mention the self-care planning guide is absolutely free? That's $0. So be sure to get yours at holisticmamaspeaks.com/self-care. Hello and welcome back to Holistic Mama Speaks, the podcast, Season 2. I am your host, Carrie Marie Vaughn, and I'm just so excited to continue our journey together towards holistic living, wellness, and abundance. Wow. In Season 2, we are just going to be diving deeper into a variety of different topics related to natural health, mindful living, wealth and abundance, and even conscious parenting. I'm just so excited. And I will be featuring expert guests who will share their knowledge and experience with us. So many amazing people, some returning guests from Season 1 and some new guests. I will also be answering listener questions and addressing some common concerns related to holistic living. And you can actually submit your questions by going to holisticmamaspeaks.com/ask. ASK. My goal is to provide you with practical tips and inspiration that you can incorporate into your own life. Whether you are a seasoned holistic living enthusiast like some people, or if you are just starting out on this journey, there is just something for everyone along the way. So I'm just happy to have you here in the Season 2 of Holistic Mama Speaks. And just as a side note, by listening to this podcast, you agree not to use this as medical advice or to treat a medical condition. You can visit holisticmamaspeaks.com to find the full disclaimer. So sit back, relax, and let's explore a world of holistic living and abundance together. Are you a mom who's struggling to balance taking care of loved ones while also taking care of yourself? It's a very common challenge, but there is actually a simple solution: daily affirmations. In Mom Mantras, the daily affirmation guide for mothers of all kinds, you'll find powerful affirmations and mantras that will help you improve your health, happiness, and mindset. Whether you are a biological mom, an adoptive mom, a stepmom, a pet mom, a motherly figure, this book is for you. Read these mantras in the morning, before bed, really anytime throughout the day to uplift your spirits and to stay focused on what matters most. Visit mommantras.com to get your own copy and to start living a more intentional, purposeful life. Hello, and welcome back to the podcast. I'm Carrie Marie, your host, and I'm excited to be joined today by Tyler Watson. Tyler is an elite performance coach and the creator of the cellular alignment technique, which is the fastest duplicatable system for lasting personal change. And I can attest to it is pretty amazing. I'm just learning these techniques myself. And what's really cool is because of his unique approach to achieving real results in record time, he has been called a mix between Tony Robbins and Houdini, which I love. I think that's so cool. And he's also the author of the Alignment Effect and the Enrollment Effect books, which I have read. And I was also blessed to have met Tyler when we were both at the Faith Over Fear Business Summit back in September. And so I'm just excited to have you join me today, Tyler. We're going to be chatting about how you do it all when you have no time and are stretched to the max, which is a problem that so many moms have. So many moms are stretched to the max. So thank you so much for joining me, Tyler. And I'd love for you to do a little more of an intro about you and a little bit about your techniques, and then we can talk about the topic.
Well, thank you so much. So yeah, I'm really excited to be here. And I'm not a mom, but I am married to an amazing woman, and we have three kids, 8, 6, and 2, and one on the way. So,
Exciting.
um,
Congratulations.
yeah, thank you. And I come from a background where my mom was, went through 5 different divorces, so single many times. And I watched a lot of the struggles that not only she went through, but both and everybody through all of the stuff that happened in relationships and finances and in health. And through those years, I always suffered a lot through depression, suicidal tendencies, poverty mentality, just barely making ends meet. I had a lot of things that just felt normal, and like that was how it was supposed to be. And I knew, though, reading books and listening to other people, that it didn't have to be that way, that there were people that got out of that who used to be there. And I wanted that. I wanted to have it all. I wanted to have that fulfillment. I wanted to, have a great marriage and have a good business and be present with my kids and be spiritually driven and have good health. And for some reason, I had these feelings that felt like that was impossible, that it couldn't really be done, that it was just like too good to be true. And as I learned about the power of the mind and the body, I developed this process to help people rewire their brain and their body so that they can make changes as fast as humanly possible and have it all without sacrificing the things that matter most to them. So through that, I've been able to see a lot of things. I've probably invested now almost $850,000 in personal development, transformation programs up to this point. Been able to have a lot of success from a place of making less than $13,000 a year to here we are now. So it's been a really big blessing, and I've seen a lot of patterns in moms. I've worked with a lot of moms, single moms, moms who are married, moms who are multiple divorces, moms who are struggling, moms who are thriving. But there's some patterns that I've seen that hopefully by what I share today, we can help and help you guys get into a state where you can have it all and let go of some of those old things, get out of the overwhelm, get out of the frustration, and find that peace, that power, that passion that you're looking for.
That's so awesome. And the really amazing thing too about not only helping the moms is that in turn, it's also helping the children. And because, like you were saying, you grew up in a household where there was a lot of different stressors around, the different divorces and a lot of other things, which then cause an impact on you. You struggled with all kinds of things. And so, how cool is that you were able to figure those things out and get yourself in a place where you are now able to help other people? So, in helping moms or other parents, you're also then helping their children. And it's like a generational thing. And, we can be the stop. We don't have to have these issues that happen generation after generation after generation. We can stop that, and we can be a generation that is growing. And I'm just so excited for you to share a little bit more about this, because just the ripple effect excites me so much.
Yeah, cool. Well, let me tell a little bit about the processes that we teach. And it as a mom, some of the things that I see is a couple depending on what phases they go through. One is the phase where their kids kind of grow up a little bit more, and then now they don't know who they are anymore because their identity is tied to being a mom. So that can be a huge stressor to where it's like, man, I don't even know who I am, what my purpose is. Do I have any value to add? Especially if a kid suffers or struggles with something that you've tried to teach, it can be very easy to take that on and to feel like it's all your fault, that you could have done something better. So hopefully some of these processes that I teach in this, little moment here, we can get you from where you're at to the next place where you want to be. So that's one piece. Another piece that I see with moms is just the struggle to balance everything, that giving so much. I think just the nature of moms, first off, like total honor, and it is tough being a mom, like especially in today's age. I think it's tougher now than ever before, with all the distractions, kids being pulled from so many noises. And how can we keep a house that is not divided and unified, and have a house that does have the love and the fun and the growth and the change without feeling like it's all your fault, or that you're not doing enough, or that you could be doing more, and overwhelmed because some of you don't sleep, and then it's like, oh my goodness, then how can I function? You feel like you're going crazy, and you feel like you're depressed, and you feel like you're insane, and you feel like no one can relate to you, and all sorts of stuff can happen. So I want you to know,
a lot of this that you're talking about.
I want you to know that you are not alone in that, and that it is actually very common.
Mm-hmm.
And to know that it can also change. That just because you've experienced a feeling and a sensation forever or for years doesn't mean it has to continue. Okay? So just because something was doesn't mean it has to be, and doesn't mean it has to continue on. We can change. The key thing that I want to teach today is through the power of alignment. So what most people teach is that if you just keep at it long enough through repetition and passion, which drives you insane, but that's what it does, is drives to insanity, doing the same thing over and over, and eventually it'll all work. But I'm not a big fan of that. I just don't believe that philosophy. That is the slow method. It's like striking two stones together, it's sparking, and eventually it can make a fire. But if it's a windy day, good luck. If you can't have anything to start it with, you're toast. So I want to teach you how to take out the flamethrower and light that sucker on fire and create whatever you want as fast as possible. So you don't have to just sit there and eventually I'm going to get it. Oh, I just got to keep at it. And I see it's going to happen, and hope and pray. And then it doesn't work. And then you feel bad. So how do you do that? First piece is to know that it's not just in your mind. It's not just your thinking, but it's actually how you feel. And it's beyond that. It's how your cells, like that create your organs and your glands, how your cells respond to your situations and circumstances. That is called cellular memory. We all have cellular memory. Now, most of us know about cellular memory, but we think about it in terms of athletics. Like if you do enough or you play the piano enough, then it becomes in like muscle memory. And we think in terms of muscle memory, where you repeat it over and over and over. But think of it this way. Let's say I'm doing the piano and I'm practicing over and over and over, and I'm getting it ingrained in my muscle memory where I don't even have to think about it. But every time I play a piece, I have anxiety inside of me that feels like if I mess up, I'm going to let my family down, or I have to be perfect. So your muscle memory, yes, it's creating the motions over and over, but it's also recreating the emotions over and over and over. So if I do a piece in a certain state, I will recreate that state over and over and over, and it becomes an addiction. Literally something that is cyclic that will repeat over and over. So this can happen in any area of life, where some of you moms might get this, where your kids wake up at night and you don't want to go to sleep anymore, because if you go to sleep, you just know that in the moment you're going to jerk awake, and it's going to be like, I would rather not have that. And your body expects it. It's like, oh, and not only it expects it, but it actually creates the situation and circumstance in your kids to have them do it, which this is kind of crazy. And this is where taking extreme responsibility is, but also not going the extreme of the extreme. So here's two parts that I want to describe here. In taking full responsibility doesn't mean it's your fault. So if I take on extreme responsibility, because moms usually tend to take on it's my fault. So now I'm responsible, and now it's a dropping energy. It's like, oh man, I feel like I could have done better. I know it's me. I know I have to change. I know I'm contributing to this problem. And that is a negative, non-ideal addiction. That is a victim state. So when I say take on full responsibility, be careful of the words and how you react to them. If I'm like, hey, let's take full responsibility of this, I'm actually contributing to these things. Instead of it saying it's my fault, I want to say, I can do something about this. I have power over this. I have a choice in this. And it's about getting your choices back. That's the key, is that you can feel like you have a choice and that choice makes a difference. Okay. Versus saying it's my fault and I should have done something better. That's victimization. Is that making sense?
Yeah.
So that's a very important piece, because I tend to see, especially with moms that I coach, that they'll go too far and they'll become the victim of the victim by saying it's all my responsibility and fault, and now I can't do anything about it. We're not
Yes.
talking about that. So we're talking about powerful responsibility in a place that I have control, I have choice, and that's okay. And even if I'm not perfect, cool, it's my choice. I can contribute to this in a better way that gets me what I want, because I'm a person and I have feelings and I can be heard, I can be understood, I can be loved, I can be taken care of while doing all the amazing superwoman things that all moms do. So,
That's
cool.
awesome.
So, with that, remember that it's ingrained in your cellular memory. And those patterns, they're not your fault. It is been ingrained since you were a kid, and you can change it though. Fortunately, we have some cool processes that are very easy, doesn't take more time. It just incorporates more presence in order to make these changes. So you can change. I've seen moms who have been depressed, overwhelmed, burnt out, feeling like they have no purpose, that they aren't even a person, that they just don't even want to exist anymore, that they don't feel loved, they don't feel taken care of, they're not engaged with their spouse, they feel like they intimacy is collapsed, and it doesn't feel like it's a one-way street instead of a two-way thing. It feels like it's a chore, to feeling like it's all my fault, to my kids, to not good enough, to wondering how to manage my children, to going crazy, pulling your hair out, and sitting on the couch and eating ice cream all day, and then getting a sense of hope for a moment, and then it crashes the next moment. So
Yeah.
those are all the symptoms that can happen. I get it.
And
But
I can definitely say I've had some of those feelings before, and a lot of the moms that I work with have had a lot of those same feelings, and it's terrible to feel like that when you're also then trying to be a mom and set a good example. It's like, put that on the top.
So I want all the moms who are listening just to take a deep breath right now, and just take a deep breath, because you're doing much better than you know.
Yeah.
And I want you to know that. And even if you don't know who I am and you're like, who is this 12-year-old dude that looks like 12? It's like, you're doing way better than you know. Way better. And I'm going to tell you things you already know, but I'm going to hopefully just help remind you. You cannot compare to any other woman on the planet, because you have a unique skill set. Some of you you've been through things, you've experienced things, you have different kids, different needs, different wants, different income brackets, different everything. And to compare yourself and to another mom is like comparing an apple to a rock and saying, you know what, this rock is better than this apple. No, it's just completely different. Completely different. It has no comparison. It's like saying, hey, this apple to a dollar bill. They are not even like, you can't even, there is no room for comparison. They're completely different in their existence and their purpose and everything. So just note that the moment you start to compare, all that is a pattern inside that you can change. And I'm going to teach you some cool things of how to change it. Okay. Because I've seen moms get out of that to where they can feel fulfilled. They can have the peace. They can be calm. They can have energy. They can sleep. They can manage a family and run a business and be a powerful wife. They can be exactly what they want to be. They can be in tune with God. They can be in tune with themselves. They can have the health, and they can truly have it all. They can do their own thing. They can feel like they're their own unique individual. They have a voice. They can finally be heard after years of never feeling heard. So many amazing things are
And feel worthy of all those things.
and worthy and good
Yeah.
enough and ready, and it's easy and it's simple. Okay.
Yes,
So
exciting.
with all that said, I just want to lay that context there that you're doing great. It's amazing. And with that, let's share some tactical strategies here on actually what you can do to change. Okay? Is that cool?
Yeah, so cool.
Sweet. Okay. So, in terms of changing, the key here is you want to find those triggers or those responses that happen in your life.
Mm-hmm.
Um, for example, my wife, so she is an incredible person. And when she got married, she felt like she gave up her whole identity. So she had been molested as a kid, and she had some negative beliefs about herself and didn't tell her family for a long time, and became a very elite performer. So concert pianist, all these things, like to drive herself to create something. And what I find, this is kind of some context here. So what I find is that men and women, we all have a balance of what's called masculine and feminine energy. It's kind of like a yin and yang type of thing, and we want to balance it. In terms of masculine energy, we think masculine as like um, result driven, um, very powerful, strong, also like everything is all about results and action and doing it. It's a doing energy. The feminine energy is a being energy. It's an existence and an attraction. The problem with most women and men is we've had non-ideal experiences that warp those. So for my wife, as she went and became a victim to that molestation, she took on this definition that feminine energy was weak, it was not safe, and so she had to go extreme masculine to defend herself, go get results, and go prove herself to the world. Which, if you're exhausted, burnt out, and overwhelmed, it's because you've been stuck in an energy. So for her, she was stuck in this masculine, overbearing, pushing, go, 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 go all the time energy. And she couldn't allow herself to go to a feminine, just being and not have to do anything and be okay. Like if she wasn't doing something, she felt like the world was going to like collapse. And I grew up and I went through pornography addictions, video game addictions, suicidal tendencies, which is a non-ideal feminine energy. It's passiveness. It's addiction behavior. That's a non-ideal feminine attribute. So I took on those. So I was afraid of the masculine, and because it represented pain. I watched my stepdad and stuff like be violent and yell and scream. So I was afraid of what I labeled as masculine energy. It's too much. It's overbearing. It's hurtful. So there's an ideal and a non-ideal to each energy. No matter if you're male or female, we want to be able to go in and out of each one. And for my wife, when we got together, she was stuck in this kind of masculine, like driven energy. And I was stuck in this non-ideal feminine, kind of like wussy Tyler energy. So we tend to attract that, which is fascinating. And then all hell breaks loose. We're like, let's unite. And fortunately, I learned about this stuff like within about 3 months of getting married. And I was like, man, I'm like, because I watched that in my mom and dad. My mom went very masculine to try to conquer things. My dad went the non-ideal feminine and stuck in those energies. So you have both. As a male and a female, we can go in and out of those energies. We want to balance it. We just don't want to get stuck in it. So I want to be able to choose it. I want to be able to say, I can go and get a result when I need to, and I can go relax and be and exist and have things just work for me and let it just be easy. So we want to go in and out of those different things. So as I watched my wife and I be together, she struggled a lot just taking on this new identity to say, I can just be and I don't have to do so much. I can just exist and it's not weak. It can be powerful. It can be safe. It can be wholesome, and it's actually more intelligent, and you can get results a lot faster by going there. So she started to learn that. I started to learn how to step it up and be more masculine and energetic. And Boom. That's when we started to make literally like millions of dollars and start to have a great household because we balanced it as a couple. Now, whether you're single or married, you still have masculine, feminine energy. And so you can start to learn how to adapt your own situation to balance it. You can always have a balance. So I wanted to just share that to get your mind kind of reeling on, okay, do I avoid the results? Am I always like strict and boom, 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 stuck in that masculine? Can I allow myself to go more feminine, nurturing, understanding, and loving? Can I allow myself to receive that? Can I allow myself to give it? In both ways, and just find that balance and practice it. So context there. I just don't know. Usually I don't share that, but I wanted to share that for you guys for some reason. And with that, let's dive into some of the technique to help you balance it, help you change stuff. So this is called cellular alignment technique. It's a tapping, breathing process to help you reprogram your cellular memory. And in doing so, you could take something that you've been struggling for 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years and literally change it within minutes. Okay.
Cool.
So it's pretty crazy. Disclaimer, we don't cure, we don't solve, we don't do anything. All I am is teaching you guys. And when you do shift, or if you do get a change, just send me a testimony like the thousands of people that we've helped. But we don't cure, diagnose, seek a doctor's help, all that stuff. So you know the rules. So it's a process, it's a tool. And I'm going to teach it to you at the basic version. And we do go into more depth at our 3-day immersion as well. So if you want to learn more, we have ways for that. So let's dive in. Why does this work? It works because the first thing to go in a fight-flight response is your breath. So we're going to do some breath work while tapping on the area which is causing a micro trauma to consciously stimulate a fight-flight instead of it being unconscious. So the conscious choices always override the unconscious. So we're going to stimulate the unconscious, choose to consciously stimulate another one, and it'll override it, and you can rewrite it. And then through this process of tapping, breathing, smiling, literally it'll change how you feel, how you think, and how you react to your situations. Okay? All right.
Sounds good.
Game, anything else that you want to mention before we dive in?
No, well, I do want to just say a quick note that I can make sure to share the link to be a part of that 3-day immersion event because it's so powerful. I attended your last one and it was absolutely amazing. And so I'd love for the audience to be able to attend as well. So I'll make sure to drop a link in the show notes as well.
Perfect. Okay. So let's take give me one of the problems that you see that people face with maybe as a mom that could be every day.
Okay, so something that I noticed that I had a huge problem with myself, but also in so many of the moms that I work with is just a sense of overwhelm. There's too many things to do and not enough time to do them all in.
Perfect.
And they're being called on by many different people to do many different things. So just kind of that overall sense of overwhelm.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So that overwhelm happens a couple ways. There's some tactical ways to handle it, and then there's the emotional side that we're going to work on. So tactically, how to work on overwhelm. Overwhelm is a series of things that are open looped. So if I have a to-do and I only start it and I don't finish it, it's going to add to the overwhelm bucket. So this is a tactical way. If you do feel overwhelmed, you literally write out every single thing that you feel like you're obligated to do. Things that you've started but not finished. So after you write out the 200 things that are like, I have to do this, then you decommit or recommit. So you literally go through it and you say, okay, this is not a priority. I'm going to recommit down the road. Or nope, I'm not going to do this. I decommit. And you pick the top 5 or 10 to just finish and complete. Because once you get that completeness, it literally takes the weight off and the overwhelm starts to be gone. It's really cool. So that's just a tactical way to change overwhelm. The emotional way is this. You're going to tune into when you feel overwhelmed. When you feel overwhelmed, it's because you don't feel like you're at cause. You're being told or forced to do something, which is a form of suppression. And that suppression will generate this feeling of I have no control, which then creates anxiety, and then you don't feel like capable. So it kind of shuts you down. So when you get into that state, let's say Johnny is tugging at the dress and dad is doing this and everybody's this and the business is collapsing and you're like, oh, I got too many things. I just feel overwhelmed. You're going to tune into where you feel it. Okay.
Mhm.
The location is the interpretation. It's where the cellular memory is stored. So I'm going to tune into where I feel it. Let's say I feel it right in my chest. I'm going to rate it 0 to 10. 10 is the worst, 0 is gone. So if I rate it, now I can start to have control over it. It's difficult to control something which we don't measure. So we have to measure it. So I'm going to measure that sense of overwhelm. 10 is the worst. Okay, it's a 10. Oh, it's right here in the chest. Good. Now I'm going to tap that area and I'm going to vocalize the overwhelm. So this is where you're going to speak the non-ideal while tapping on that area. So I might say, I'm overwhelmed and I feel helpless. There is no way. And you want to go as extreme as possible. The extremes, this is called law of polarity. Where two extremes go, they'll meet. So if you go super cold, it'll eventually feel hot. If you go super hot, it'll eventually feel cold. So if I go super extreme to a negative, it'll actually switch to a positive. It's very, very fascinating. So when I vocalize it, I want to go as negative as possible. This is where you give yourself permission to be a victim because you're changing it. Okay.
Mhm.
So I'm overwhelmed. I can't change it. And the more descriptive, the better. I feel like Johnny is consuming my life and I'm pulling my hair out and it's crazy and I don't have a life anymore and I have no purpose. So you vocalize it while tapping it. Then you're going to do what's called align. So you're going to tap on the forehead down to the back of the neck while breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth while tapping. You're going to do this multiple times. In, out, 3 times. In, out. Then you're going to pant while still tapping. 3 times. And then smile. Okay? Just doing that, you're showing your body that you're taking control of your fight flight responses, that you're not a victim, that you don't have to be on autopilot and you have control. So there's a lot of reasons why that works, but just test it out, try it. Then re-rate it again. Tune back into that overwhelm. 0 to 10, 10 being the worst, 0 being gone. It might go up, make it worse, might go down, it might stay the same. We don't care. We're just observing, curious. So then I might tune in and I say, where do I feel it? It's moved, or maybe it's in the same place. So I'm going to move to that other place and I'm going to vocalize the negative again. I feel like I can't change. I feel like this is too much for me to handle. I feel like I can't do this anymore. I just want to quit. I need a break. There's nothing I can do about it. Vocalize 4 or 5 things, then tap where it is, and then align. In the nose, out the mouth, 3 times, in, out, pant, and smile. And what you're going to start to notice is you're going to start to have either thoughts or emotions pop up while you're doing this process. The resistance shows you the path of what you need to change. So let's say I'm doing this and now I was at a 10, maybe I'm down to like a 4. So I'll re-rate and check in again. Where do I feel it? Interesting, right here in my gut. Okay, cool. I can continue to do this over and over, sharing just the non-ideals. The more specific, the better. Any negative thoughts, maybe even about this process. Like, there's no way this will work. I don't think I can change this fast. You've got to start being conscious of the unconscious. The more conscious you become, the faster you'll see this work. Then, after you do a bunch of non-ideals, you can always flip it to some ideals that you might resist. So you might be like, I can get out of overwhelm. I have the power inside of me. I am worthy to be in control. I am safe to be in control. I can have control over my life, and that's okay. And then you align. and smile. And you can continue that process. Takes 5-10 minutes, and you will notice a significant change in how you are handling your world. And so by doing this, you're doing several things. You're being conscious of the unconscious. You're starting to stimulate your own fight flight responses, go extreme with them, and start to bring them back to what you want. And essentially, it's like throwing a rock into a pond and the ripples going on, like you're having that response. But as you're tapping, you're causing these micro ripples to hit simultaneously. And if you have two waves that collide, it actually neutralizes. So you're stopping those things from occurring consciously. And the cool thing about this is, we have about 15 to 16 different variations of this alignment. And what I taught you was the very bone basics that you could do. We've seen people have massive changes just using the bare minimum with what I just shared with you. So it takes some time. This is a new language. We're not usually taught to listen or to communicate our feelings. So you're going to get used to feeling things, addressing them, communicating negatives, which you thought were bad in the past, communicating ideals, and then working through those. So that's a little taste of it. Hopefully you guys can just take that little bit and start to practice it.
So cool. Thank you so much, Tyler. That's so exciting. And this is such a powerful technique. I've been using it myself, and I love that you just feel so much better. I love how you have us rate it, because the rating is huge when you can actually see that there is a difference. Because, before, I think the first time I saw you do this, I didn't realize that you were supposed to rate it first. And so I was just like, I'm like, oh, I'm not really feeling much of a difference. And I also had no idea what I was doing because I'd not seen the entire thing. But then when I started rating, I was like, wow, my rating actually changed. I feel so much better about this. And then all of a sudden I started noticing positive things happen in my world, which is amazing. It was just so fast. And I've seen this with other people you have been teaching as well. And it's so incredible to see how fast these changes can be. The things that we've like struggled with for so many years. And then all of a sudden it's like, boop, all gone.
Done.
Bye.
Yeah. Yeah. So cool. Well, what other questions do you have? I'm here to serve for the next few minutes if you need anything else. Also, if you guys would like to learn more, we do have that 3-day virtual.
Yeah, so I would love actually if you wanted to just take a minute or two just to share a little bit about what people can expect from that 3-day event, because I would love for everybody to be able to be on and really dive in, because immersion is just so important, I think, in order to be able to learn things in full, because this was just a taste and people can start using it now, but then be able to dive in and really learn a bit more.
Yeah. So depending on when this is released, but we do these. We try to do them once every other month or once a month. This is the last one this year if you're listening to it in 2023. So we're doing one at the end of November. And in that event, we take 3 days, which are immersion, and it's virtual. So the first day is all about getting clear. And that's so important. Everything we do is all about the words and the power of the words. So day one, we teach you about the power of words, past perceptions that you may have interpreted of maybe even being a mom. Like for my wife, her definition, her label that she saw from mom was doesn't really listen to me, doesn't understand me, doesn't care about what I really say, always counters what I say and makes me feel bad for it. So her mom's incredible, but those were the interpretations she took on growing up. So now as she's a mom, she's having these own things come up because that was tied to the word mom, and she is a mom. So we have to address those key components of what we've labeled from our past perceptions and say that word has had power over me because of this. So that's day one. Day two, we get into understanding the power of aligning it and changing it. So some of the process we were doing, I'll go in deep on that of like how to actually change it at the next level. And we go through and we have you create your ideal vision of who you want to be and what you want to create. And going into 2024, this will be like the most incredible thing you could do to just crush out this next year. So day two is that. And then day three, we have you step into your new identity, have you literally become that and let go of those old chains so you can truly make changes in less than 3 days. We've seen, oh man, so many cool things happen in those 3 days. So I know people who pay like $10,000 to $20,000 for that type of an experience. And instead of having to pay like $10,000 or $1,000 or even $100 or even $50 or even $20 or even $10, I am literally like, because it's November and we were doing this cool thing about gratitude, and I just love being thankful and grateful for amazing things. We are in an amazing country, and I love what we do. So we wanted to gift this to you guys, and it's like $7. So literally like
So generous.
hamburger or something. So you could go blow that on something else, or give yourself a gift this year to experience a transformation. You're worth it, you deserve it, and you can have it all.
Yes, absolutely. I agree 100%. You are so worth it. So, oh my goodness, Tyler, thank you. Thank you so much for sharing this. This is going to be so life-changing and so transformative, just what you shared today. And then when people are able to attend the 3-day event, it's going to be extremely powerful. So thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for joining today. And I really appreciate it. It's been such a pleasure.
Yeah, thanks for having me. And I believe you'll provide them that link. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. I'll make sure that the link goes in the show notes so that everybody has it. Yep.
Perfect. Well, thank you guys so much. And for those of you who join me, I look forward to getting to know you here in a couple of weeks. So
yeah,
a few days, depending when you're watching it.
Yes, exactly. Well, thank you. Thank you. Have a great rest of your day. Thank you so much for listening. It has been a pleasure being with you today. I hope that you enjoyed this and got some value out of it. If you did, be sure to rate and review on wherever you're listening or watching. And also be sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Thank you so much and have a great rest of your day.